Someone said something about you that was wrong. You know it was wrong. And yet here you are, still thinking about it, still building your case, still needing them to be wrong in the right way. Welcome to the Stoic Compass. I am EPICTETUS, and today I am joined by Carl Jung and LAOZI. Today we are examining, what does your reaction to unfair criticism reveal about your true character? Let us be precise about what is happening. Someone said something about you that was inaccurate, unjust, or malicious. That is their act. What happens next? The churning, the rehearsing, the rage, that is yours. Your reaction is not caused by the criticism. It is caused by your judgment about the criticism, and your judgment is entirely within your control. So the real question is not whether the criticism was fair. The real question is why you are still holding it, why you cannot set it down. That is where your character actually lives.
I want to push back on something before we go further. You say the reaction is entirely within your control, and you say it as though that settles the matter. But the intensity of a reaction is rarely random. When criticism lands with unusual force, when it hooks us, when we cannot stop replaying it, that is not a failure of self-discipline. That is a signal. The reaction is pointing at something. Not at the person who said it, but at something inside us that recognized a word, a shape, a possibility we have not yet fully examined. The question I would ask is not, why can't you set it down? The question is, what does it know that you don't?
You are both already past the interesting part. The moment someone hears unfair criticism and the heat rises, that moment right there, before any decision about control or excavation, that moment is where everything is visible. The whole person is present in that flash, not the person they perform, not the person they aspire to be, the person they actually are. You want to understand your character. You do not need to analyze your reaction. You just have to be honest about what that first moment was.
The first moment is not the whole story, LAOZI. Animals have first moments. A dog snaps when startled. That is not character. Character is what you do with the moment after. The person who feels the heat and then acts from it. That is one kind of person. The person who feels the heat and then asks whether their response serves them. That is another. I am not interested in what flared. I am interested in what you chose.
But you are skipping over something crucial. The choice you are describing, to act or not to act, is itself shaped by what the person has or has not examined about themselves. A man who has never confronted his own fear of being seen as inadequate will reach for anger every time, and he will genuinely believe he is choosing it. He will tell himself it is righteous. He will construct an airtight case for why the other person is the problem. The ego is enormously inventive. It does not experience itself as defensive. It experiences itself as correct. That is the trap.
There is something underneath both of what you are saying. Most people do not react to what was actually said. They react to what the criticism confirmed. Some verdict they had already written about themselves that they were hoping no one else could see. The unfairness of the criticism almost does not matter. Fair or unfair, it touched something. That is why they cannot let it go.
Now you are getting somewhere, but the answer to that is not more self-examination. The answer is to ask a very simple question. Is what they said true? If it is true, then the work is not to manage your reaction. The work is to change what is true. If it is false, then the reaction is literally about nothing. You are suffering over a fiction. In both cases, the question is the same. What are you going to do? Not feel do.
What are you going to do is the right question eventually. But it is not the first question. You cannot answer it honestly until you understand why the fiction, as you call it, had any power at all. Why did this particular fiction sting? There are 1,000 things people could say about any of us that would slide off without leaving a mark. They say it, we hear it, we think that's simply not accurate, and we move on. But something else, something that touches a specific wound, a specific fear, a specific thing we have been quietly ashamed of, that one does not slide, that one stays. And what stays is worth examining.
You are arguing about sequence. Epictetus says act, Jung says excavate, but neither of you is questioning the premise that the reaction needs to be resolved. What if the reaction is just information, not a problem to be solved, not a symptom to be diagnosed? Just something that happened, that showed you something, and that will pass if you do not keep feeding it.
Just information is fine, LAOZI, as long as you act on it. Information you ignore is not wisdom, it is furniture. You can arrange it very neatly and still trip over it every day. My point is not that the reaction is unimportant. My point is that people use the reaction as a destination. They move into it. They live in the grievance. They stop asking what the reaction is for and start asking how to be more justified in it. That is what I am cutting against.
I do not disagree with that, but consider who those people are. They are not people who lack willpower or philosophical training. They are people whose sense of self is fragile in a particular place, and the criticism landed exactly there. You cannot simply instruct that fragility away. The ego will comply on the surface and compensate underground. You will get someone who looks like they have moved on, who tells themselves they have moved on, who is actually quietly constructing a version of events that preserves their self-image. That is not growth. That is a different kind of stuckness.
There is a version of this that neither of you is describing. Someone criticizes you unfairly. You feel it land. You notice what it touched. And then you do nothing with it. Not because you are suppressing it, not because you have resolved it, but because you are genuinely not afraid of what it says about you. The reaction does not require a response. It requires only that you see it clearly without adding a story to it. That is not passivity. That is actually very hard.
Seeing without adding a story, yes, but who can do that? The person who has trained themselves to see clearly. And how do you train? Not by sitting quietly, by repeatedly catching yourself in the moment when the story begins and choosing differently. That is practice. That is work. You are describing the destination, LAOZI. I'm talking about how you get there.
And I'm talking about what blocks the path. Because for many people, the obstacle is not a lack of willingness to train. It is that they do not know what they are training against. They know they get defensive. They do not know why this particular thing makes them defensive. Without that, the training is like pushing against a wall in the dark. You apply force, but you cannot see what you are trying to move.
Maybe the wall is not what you think it is. You keep talking about the content of the criticism, what it touched, what it says about you. But the real grip is not in the content. It is in the belief that the other person's words have the power to define you. That belief is the wall, not the wound underneath, not the pattern. The belief that someone else's opinion is a verdict.
That is exactly right. Their opinion is an opinion. It has no force except what you give it. And if you are giving it force, if you are letting it determine how you feel, what you think about on Tuesday at 3 a.m, then you are living as though you are owned. You are handing your freedom to someone who has not earned it and does not deserve it.
But why do people do that? You say, stop giving it force as though the giving is fully conscious. For most people, it is not. They do not decide to give the opinion force. It simply arrives with force already attached. The image I keep returning to is this. The unfair criticism acts like a key that happens to fit a lock we forgot we had. When it turns, the door opens and something old comes out. The work is to find out what door opened and what came out of it, not just to resolve to lock it more tightly next time.
There is something neither of you has said directly. The reaction also reveals what we believe we need from other people. The person who cannot let go of unfair criticism, they are not just defending their self-image. They are showing how much they depend on being correctly seen. They need to be accurately perceived. And when that need is denied, the suffering is real. The work is not only to manage the reaction or find the old wound. The work is to ask, why is being correctly perceived something I cannot live without?
Now that is the sharpest thing said here, because that is a need that will never be fully met. You will not get through a year of living without being misunderstood, misrepresented, or maligned. If your peace depends on being correctly perceived, you will never have peace. You will spend your whole life writing corrections that no one reads.
And yet, the desire to be seen accurately is not pathological. It is human. It becomes a problem only when it is the only source of self-confirmation a person has. When they cannot confirm their own worth from inside, they reach for it from outside, and they become terribly vulnerable to exactly this. Every piece of unfair criticism becomes a small collapse. The work is to build an internal relationship to yourself that does not require constant external ratification.
You are both right, and you are both still treating this as a problem to be solved. What if the answer is simpler? You react to unfair criticism because you are human and it hurt. What it reveals depends entirely on what you do next. Not what you analyze, not what you excavate, not what you train. What you actually do, whether you get smaller in response to it or stay the same size.
Stay the same size. I will grant you that one, LAOZI. That is exactly it. The criticism is an attempt, deliberate or not, to shrink you. The question is whether you let it, whether you hand the shears to someone who has no right to them. Your character is not what the critic described. Your character is what you do the moment after the description lands.
I would add, your character is also what you honestly admit to yourself about why it hurt as much as it did. That admission, if you make it without self-punishment, just plainly, as a fact, is one of the more honest things a person can do. It is not weakness. It is actually the beginning of not needing the same external confirmation so badly.
The water does not defend itself against the shape of the container. It simply remains water. Whether the container is fair or unfair is not the water's question.
All of this, and we have not said the one true thing yet. Not about the critics, about the person sitting with the reaction right now. Your reaction to unfair criticism is not a verdict on your worth. It is a measurement of what you have been relying on. When the criticism stings, you are not discovering that you are fragile. You are discovering that somewhere along the way, you began measuring yourself from the outside in. You started using other people's perception of you as the instrument. And an instrument you cannot control is an instrument that will fail you. Here is what is true. No one who criticizes you unfairly has authority over you. They have words. Words have whatever weight you assign them. And the weight you assign them tells you exactly what you have been outsourcing. The work is not to feel nothing. The work is to stop letting the reaction run forward unchecked into rumination, rehearsal, and grievance. Those three things are what you choose, not the sting. That is human. But the hours you spend replaying it, building your case, imagining the conversation where you finally say the right thing, that is chosen. And it costs you something real every time. You're not going to fix this by deciding to be less sensitive. You fix it by building something internal that does not require their correction to stand. Today, do this. Find one place in your life where you're still waiting for someone to recognize that they were wrong about you. Write it down. Then ask yourself what you would be free to do if that recognition never came. That answer is your actual next step. You have been waiting for the record to be corrected. No one is coming to correct it. The person who criticized you unfairly has probably not thought about it since Tuesday. You are the only one still in the room. Stop building the case. Stop writing the correction. Put the energy somewhere you actually own. What you do with your attention right now, that is your character. Not what they said, what you choose next. If today's conversation has served you, take it further. Pay Attention by C. Tribune, 12 Lessons in the Practice of Seeing Clearly. Available now on Amazon.